Hey guys,
Hi, how are you?
pretty good. I'm glad to be here today. Big fan of everyone here. But I figured I'd bring the discussion back to the rapture and stuff like that. And basically the questions I just wanted to ask was, and we've kind of touched on them already, but I was just wondering, what do you think the consequences of another failed prediction would be? Because I think that Aaron already mentioned how camping is already predicted in 1994. Obviously, that did not come to fruition. And I'm wondering, is this just going to be another failed prediction that's going to slip under the radar and people are just going to forget about after these huge campaigns and these billboard signs and all of this stuff is just going to be forgotten about when the prediction doesn't come true?
If history is anything to judge it by, then that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, and I
think it's not dissimilar to the fact that the likes of Peter Popoff can be exposed as a complete charlatan, and a few years later people have totally forgotten about it and just still send him loads of money.
No,
So
this one is somewhat different in they've spent certainly millions promoting this. That's actually different. I don't think I've ever seen this level of sort of promotion on something that's going to fail.
Yeah, and the amusing thing is that I live in Texas, and I've seen all these billboards. I mean, there's a billboard not 2 miles from my house that's talking about the rapture. On the way down to Austin, the last time I did the Atheist Experience, I saw 2 or 3 of them on the way.
Aaron, you've got to do this. You've got to do this. Get a newspaper on the 22nd and go down to that bill. It would be interesting to know if they've paid the billboard up till the end of the month. But you know what I mean? That's going to go on something like Fail Blog is, the rapture on the 21st, and it's like, whatever happens on the 22nd.
Yeah, these things are usually unfalsifiable, though. They're equally as good at coming up with reasons for why nothing happened, right? They say, we were miraculously saved by one pure heart, or everyone was, so good that particular day that God decided to spare us, and,
Because
they'll
God
come up with something.
The future, right? I mean, this prophecy requires that God knows what's going to happen. So how could anybody do anything or be good enough to change his mind that he didn't already know in advance that his mind was going to change?
Concordance, you just gave me a great idea, right? What stopped the rapture is we scientists actually developed an anti-apocalypse ray, which is the only thing that saved the universe.
That has to be good, and this is our prediction. This is our prediction.
Right.
We will pray, and the rapture will not happen. So
We
I
could
think
get like a grant. I mean, we could get a grant and then take credit when nothing happens. Right? I mean, it would be a great investment.
Apocalypse spray right next to the buckle on my bat belt.
in all
What the
seriousness,
hell? Start like a telethon or something. Let's get a telethon on one of the Christian channels. We scientists, blah blah blah, can stop the apocalypse if you guys will. Well, I guess they probably wouldn't want to pay for that though, because they all think they're going through nuts.
Time out. I don't understand how these people. Okay, these people are scripture experts, correct? I mean, apparently, as much as one can be. Yet, and this is something that is never, ever kind of reconciled with me. Matthew 24:36. No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. So, how can one make a prediction about the end of times when the Bible, specifically the New Testament, specifically the Gospels, state that no one knows the day or time or hour when the rapture can come? So how can they?
Come on, Donnie, you've dealt with apologists before. You've got to read it. You've got to read it in context, Donnie. You've got to be an expert to understand.
It's more than that. It's more than that. You have to read it guided by the Holy Spirit, who will tell you to read between the lines and not necessarily worry so much about the lines.
I hate these people.
The one that gets me is Mark 13 something. Tell me when will these things happen, right? When will be the sign that they are all about to be fulfilled? Jesus said, "Watch out that no one deceives you. Many will come in my name, blah, blah, blah. Wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, beginning of birth pains." But it says the current generation will not pass until all these things have come to fruition. And of course, people interpret that in all these really creative ways, but it seems pretty literal to me.
Yeah,
and the other one that's hilarious there is the specific predictions that Jesus comes up with. You know, there'll be wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes in distant places and all this sort of thing. And it's like these things have been true at every point in history, right? He could as well have said, you know, the sun will rise and there will be clouds in the sky and these will be the signs of the apocalypse.
Coming.
This is not the most specific of predictions. Yeah, okay. If you were making a prediction, just say it's next Thursday at 5:14. You know.
I want to know why.
Don't be late. Don't be late.
Oh, you wanted to say something.
Oh, I can't remember now.
I'm just remembering the Life of Brian predictions, the little, quiet prophet. And things will be lost, and the little people will not remember where the things were that they had been looking for only just a few minutes before.
Yes, and much confusion, and yeah.
Your car keys shall be misplaced. You shall stub your toe. Like all the, yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is what I was going to say. When Jesus is talking to his disciples and he tells them to go about all these other lands, right, and spread his word about all these other lands, and he takes different disciples and he points them different places. You go here, right? And then he says to them, you will not complete your missions. And then there's other lands that will never have heard them before he comes back. There's not a place where Christianity does not exist.
Aliens.
Magnets?
So, of course, what I'm saying is it's the same thing as what you interpreted before. When Jesus said that none of you will even taste of death before you see me return on the right hand of power. That means he's 1,930 years too late. And I know I did a speech where I was complaining about one of the billboards for the American Atheist, but American Atheist came up with a subsequent billboard that I absolutely love, which was talking about 2,000 years of any day now. The rapture, it's nonsense.
Okay, I've got it. Okay. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes in various places, and famines and pestilences, and there will be fearful signs and great signs from heaven.
But I'm not going to tell you what they are, when they happen, or
or why.
But before all these things, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before the kings and rulers in my name. And this is the crazy thing. This is the prophecy that can never. David Koresh could have said the same things, right? If you accept me, then you're saved. But if people persecute you for believing crazy shit, then that proves that I'm God because I made the prediction. Yeah. It's the win-win scenario. It's a statement that says nothing.
Yeah, you get people to believe this crazy shit, and then they get teased for it, and crazy shit is true. See, it says so right here, prediction fulfilled. I mean.
Protective measures that will
we alone, or the other option would be for us atheists to provide a post-rapture pet care service. Because what about all these Christians who have pets that'll need cared for after they're raptured? I think there's some money to be made. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, there's another interpretation that might be really important here. In the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you had this. I can't remember what the name of the planet was, but they had their population divided into three groups. They were the thinkers, the scientists and statesmen, the world leaders and things of that sort. And then there were the people who actually do things, the artisans and craftsmen. And then there were the people that were on the B ship. And these were the telephone sanitizers and those sorts of people, the hairdressers and cosmetologists.
The Golga Frinchums. They were the Golga Frinchums.
The Golga Frinchums. And so the B ship left first. And the idea was that they were supposed to crash on this other planet. And then it had been later figured out that the A population and the B or the C population never left. They had just gotten rid of the riffraff.
Pills from loaded.
Socialist.
Them metal pineapples hurt my teeth.
I have seen many of these people tell me that the world, that life, that existence is a terrible, torturous, painful, horrible thing. That's really their perspective. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but a lot of these people have told me that this is a wretched and disgusting world and that they can't wait to get out of it. And then they'll be happy forever. But me, I step outside and I'm like, damn, this is a beautiful day. You know, and I like the weather generally, no matter what it is, most of the time. I have a pretty decent perspective on this. I'm sorry that most of my life is over and I'm not going to get one after this. I am not going to be, fortunately, I am not going to be trapped in a house with little Anthony Fremont, the kid from Twilight Zone, because that is the heaven that most people describe to me. I'm glad that that's not going to happen. And I'm going to enjoy what I've got while I have it. And the guy next to me looks around at the same beautiful green pastures that I see, and he laments, you know, how horribly overgreen they are. I just don't get the kind of negativity that these people have as a part of their philosophy.
Well, they could just be pessimistic. I mean, that's, you know, Oscar the Grouch.
You raised an interesting point there, Owen. I mean, people's idea or understanding, or you were referring to, but I suspect
in the next scene you're back there fighting whatever Daffy Duck or whoever the villain is.
My view of heaven is unlimited beer, and it's basically I'm the only male left. I'm the only male left on the planet, and there's nobody with less than a D cup, and I'll never be bored of it. That would be my idea of heaven.
Yes.
Well, see, my thought was back when I still believed that I had a soul, and I'm being sincere about this. When I still believed that I had a soul, I wanted to believe that I would reincarnate indefinitely, forever, in perpetuity, and maybe, like a video game, go up a level every so often. But that I wanted to experience life not as myself reborn a bunch of times, not necessarily as different people, but as different life forms, maybe even in different worlds. In different time periods. I could come back as a velociraptor, perhaps. Oh, concordance already.
Beat you to it.
Well, there was one thing I left out, one detail, one superpower that I would have to have in heaven, and that is the ability to instantly make anybody's head explode just by thinking about it.
I can do that now.
No, Denmark.
Interesting.
Like
this conversation is getting very, very silly.
If I could bring up one more point before I have to go.
Please do.
All right. My next point is that it's not so much on the rapture this time. I'm actually a cancer survivor. I survived, and while I was going through cancer, I had a lot of, and I'm not trying to down them or anything. A lot of Christians and creationists tell me that we're going to pray for you to get better. We're going to keep you in our thoughts. Basically, and now that about a few years ago when it hit me, it's like they really didn't do anything. They were just pretending they were doing something when they weren't really doing anything. And I had a discussion with my and I had a discussion with my with my brother a few weeks ago, asking me, it's like, well, why don't you believe in God anymore? It's like, I can't believe in someone that would cause that would, one, have me get sick and all these other children that were around me with the same disease be sick and not heal them or help with divine intervention or anything. Is like, well, then he was like, well, then he told me, well, you know, those chemotherapy drugs might not have worked on you. You know that, right? It's like, well, why did I need those? If God is the ultimate healer, why didn't he heal me? Like, if the one who saved my life was my chemo doctor. It wasn't God. I didn't have any divine intervention. If I relied on God the entire time, I guarantee you I wouldn't be in this call right now, because a friend of mine also had another friend who believed in God, and they didn't receive any medical treatment whatsoever, and they died within a couple months.
Yes, people asked me when they found out that my granddaughter had leukemia, they asked me if I wanted them to pray for me, as if I would want someone to. Why would you ask someone, can I pray for you? And my answer generally to that kind of question is, yeah, why don't you write a letter to Santa for me too? Because
exactly, it's like pity.
I actually no. I actually have a different take on this. If you've listened to Christopher Hitchens' response about that, I mean, that's sort of the view that I take. It's not that these people are trying to be arrogant. I mean, they are doing what they feel, what they believe is the most important and most effective thing that they can do to get you out of this unpleasant situation. I mean, whether or not it's all bullshit, that is what these people believe. I mean, so in reality, I think that their intention really is good, and I don't think that should be,
well, no,
shunned. But I'd say I prefer that you donate $5 to a, cancer fund than pray for me. But I mean, certainly I'm not going to be offended that you want to help.
I would tend to agree with.
Have to say. It's just say thank you.
I can say one more thing before Thunder goes. I'm sorry. What I've told at least a couple of these people is, if you don't mind, don't pray. Because I've noticed that the prayers have no effect until the chemo starts flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite a funny coincidence how that works, isn't it? But
yeah. I'm sorry, Concordance and Thunder. I spoke over both of you. Please take a turn if you can.
I just don't be a jerk. I mean, honestly, they're doing right, like Don was saying. They're doing what they're trying to help. Just say thank you and then move on with your life. Don't proselytize.
I think it's very difficult. And the account that I was going to give a few years ago, I went through a painful experience of seeing a friend's 2-year-old son being eaten up by cancer and eventually dying a few days after his 2nd birthday. And then had to attend a Christian funeral service. And I found it very uncomfortable, and I found it utterly hypocritical. And I agree, John, I think they're probably trying to do their best. But the words that came out of the vicar's mouth were just empty for me. It was pathetic. But you're right, they're probably trying to do what they can.
No, they are, and they're not pretending. They're not. I mean, that's literally what they believe. I mean, whether it's, if an ostrich buries his head in the stand because it literally believes that if it can't see the lion can't see it. I mean, I don't think that it's doing that just to play. And no, that's not why they bear their blah blah blah. But my point still stands, though. I mean, it's not an act, I guess, is what I'm trying to articulate.
Yeah, no, they're genuine.
I understand.
Yeah. Can we move on, please? Thank you very much for the call.
I have a question real quick. Does anybody have a Christopher Hitchens update, out of curiosity? Anybody know his current status or what's going on with that?
I know that he's pulled out of appearing at the TAM convention on the basis that he's not actually able to speak at the moment. I suspect that the prognosis is not very positive, but I can't give any more information than that.
Do you know what stage it is or anything like that? Has any information like that been released?
Not as far as I'm aware. If anyone knows, then put it into the chat and let us know. But
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's move.